take a look at web design and development. We've talked a little bit about design, so I won't go into a lot of the technical specifics in terms of designing your website, but let's go over a few key concepts. First, you have to remember that this is a persuasive communication like any other marketing communication. So we are designing for persuasion. Your visual identity should match that of your other marketing and branding assets. There are aspects of design theory and color theory that need to go into the design of your website, just like they would in any other marketing communication pieces, in terms of things like white space, overall look and feel that ladders up to that brand, and in terms of color, different colors mean different things psychologically and in different cultures, so you should make sure that you do research into your color palette and what that represents. You need to collect all of your design assets and make sure that everything is ready to go and matches the overall brand strategy. And then you need to think about fonts and what's easily readable, what colors work in terms of, being able to read on a screen and things like that. In the text, there's more about each of these various elements. Same here in web development, right? So we have the design of the website, how it looks, and then the development, how it works. I won't go into the technical aspects, but we'll outline the things you need to think about in terms of development once you've figured out your design. This is the process of taking your finished web designs and making them into functioning websites. Your web developer should be thinking about these things. Do you want a static website or a content management system? A static website doesn't change often in terms of content. A web developer will need to make any necessary changes. Content management systems, or CMS systems, should be used when you have content that changes often and you want to have people with varying technical expertise and from any location in the world to be able to make updates. You need to think about server-side languages. There are several server-side language options. Server-side languages are the hidden web coding languages that determine how your website works with and communicates with the server. Considerations should include cost as well as scalability. Next, we need to look at front-end languages. Web users expect correct interactive experiences. Front-end languages are the client-side languages, those that are interpreted and executed in the user's browser as opposed to the server. Again, cost is a consideration, but so are things like features, scalability, browser and operating system support, and open source versus proprietary software. When looking at mobile, you have to decide if you want to create a mobile-friendly site or a separate app. Another variation of this is a responsive site, which we discussed earlier. Mobile websites can be accessed from any device, software, etc. Apps, however, need to be designed for specific operating systems. More information is available in the text regarding the pros and cons of creating a separate app versus using your site in a mobile space. The most important consideration that needs to be made when thinking about apps, mobile sites, or responsive design is to think about your user first. How much of your traffic comes from mobile? Do people coming to mobile have the same goals as those coming to the desktop site? What is your budget? Do you have an existing site? Can it be adapted to mobile? As we did with designing a site, let's look at how to build one. First, of course, there's planning and research. Again, this is of the utmost importance. Think about both the business and the users. Of course, you have to choose your domain name. Domain names should be easy to remember, and if possible, include important search keywords for your business. The next step is to have your UX and content strategy. We've discussed this at length already, but this is where it falls in the overall process. Search engine visibility is important in building your site too. Search engine traffic is more important than ever as users generally search for the site rather than typing the URL or domain name into a browser. In the following lesson, we'll talk more about search engine optimization and search engine marketing to make sure that we can be visible there. Then, design your site. Again, we discussed the principles of this already, so now it's time to implement them. Once the site is designed, you need to turn those assets from design into a functioning website. Your web development team or web development firm will do this at this juncture in the process. And then again, test, test, test. Make sure everything is working. Make sure that the UX is what you want it, and then launch your site.